when I'm talking about Nexus letters, I'm kind of talking to people that are probably not very advanced in the process.
Mhm.
And I say Nexus letter because that's one way of getting the Nexus in there. But there's a lot of times when the Nexus can exist, but if you don't really know what you're doing and you don't know what to look for, that's kind of why I suggest getting one. In my own personal experience, I was service connected for my left foot, and then I filed a claim for my right foot to get that service connected because of my left foot. And I basically said that in a personal statement. That was backed up by my subjective complaints to podiatrists for the previous 5 years. So the nexus was there because my subjective complaints, the doctors agreed, like, yeah, his right foot's probably, messed up because of his left foot. So I have personal experience with, kind of creating my own nexus. What are your thoughts on this?
So you brought up a lot of really great points. A nexus is from my standpoint, it's showing a link between your service and a current disability, whether that's an injury or an illness, right?
Yep.
In fact, to your point, you're going to get a nexus opinion when you go to your CMP exam, right? The,
Yep.
the examiner is going to say whether they believe it is more likely than not, at least as likely as not, so on and so forth.
Or less likely than not, the one you
Right,
don't want, or is not due to. You definitely don't want that one either.
right. They're going to give you that opinion, right? Now you can, privately go get a medical opinion letter. That's kind of what I do, right?
Yep.
But never required, like you were saying. There's tons of ways. A good personal statement can go a really long way. You don't have to have, a 7-page Nexus letter. You can have your primary doctor write a couple of sentences, and that may work in your note, or your VA provider if they write, I believe their, migraine headaches are more likely than not related to their headaches, or they don't even have to use the fancy language. If,
Right.
if they
Right.
if they just write something, adding information like why they believe that, to back it up is helpful. Um, but an actual Nexus letter, while helpful at times, is not a requirement by any means to show a service connection, as you kind of alluded to with your foot connections.
And I left that part out. I did go to a CNP exam, and he did
Mhm.
agree with all my medical evidence. It's all about it's like 99% medical evidence and 1% my personal statement. So you're getting a nexus one way or another. And he did agree with me. So good point. You can get the nexus, or you will get a nexus from the CNP examiner for sure.
Mhm.
So it's better to have him prove the nexus for you. But if you need a private provider, that's a route to go for sure.
Well, and it's important to realize too that, like, the author of the letter, or the author of whoever's writing this statement, you could have, the best orthopedic surgeon you've ever, on the face of the planet write you a letter, but if it doesn't make sense, I don't know that it's going to help you a ton, right?
Right.
They're just saying, like, if they're saying, for example, um, I don't know, their meniscal tear and their knee injury is related to Agent Orange exposure. Okay, like that just doesn't make sense. Agent Orange exposure doesn't cause your meniscus to tear, right?
Right.
It has to make sense, right? And just because someone has medical credentials and writes something doesn't mean that it's going to be for sure going to happen.
Yeah, no brainer, slam dunk. You're still
Right.
dealing with your medical evidence, the opinion from a CNP examiner, who's an outside contractor. Now all of them are, and the most important person is the VA rater. So they don't see it and they don't believe it. That's who you're trying to convince.
Well, and I think veterans sometimes mistakenly believe that if they get a medical opinion letter, that is going to guarantee them a connection. And that is just not the case. It's just not the case. I'm sorry to say. In fact, I have veterans actually get pissed off at me sometimes because I say, I can't help you with that. I can't. These are the reasons why. We talked about this in a previous video, but like tinnitus causing OSA. I just won't write it because I don't believe it. And veterans say, well, you know, if you just write it, I'm going to get approved. I'm like, no, you're going to be out some money and a bunch of time waiting for it to get approved. And then you're going to be disappointed and out money for this. And so it's not like I'm trying to withhold. And this is just my opinion, you know,
Yeah.
other people, but you know, if I don't believe it makes medical sense, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that makes sense. It just, there's other more likely causes. And, I guess the point is a medical nexus letter is not a guarantee for anything.
And that's it, because there are no guarantees. Educate yourself about your disabilities, your claim, your symptoms. You need to be working with or seeing, getting treatment from a medical professional of some sort. But yeah, at the end of the day, who knows what the VA is going to do? Set yourself up and put yourself in the best position. But just getting a Nexus letter isn't a slam dunk because we don't have control over how the VA is going to, rate
Right.
us. All right, cool. Well, thanks for clearing up Nexus letters and a Nexus in general. And we're going to make more videos like this, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining me today, Leah.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to chatting again soon.
All right, bye. Let me jump in here real quick and tell you about my boot camp. If you want to learn more about the VA claims process, check out my boot camp. You can talk to me live. There's a link on the website and in the description, combatcraig.com. And also, if you need medical evidence like a Nexus or documenting your symptoms properly, go to our website, combatcraig.com, and it says medteam/Nexus letters. Click on that link, fill out the form, boom, you're done.